is the audio going?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, what do you do as your job?
I'm the president of eOne Music Global. It's a new job for me. I started here about 5 months ago. Before that, I was a music attorney for 20 years. I still do a little bit of that as I'm transitioning out of my practice, but I've been the president here of music. It'll be about 5 months since March.
Who is your favorite musician slash person to work with or work for?
Oh wow! I've probably worked with, on the law firm side, probably worked with thousands of artists. It'd be hard for me to sort of point one out. I'd probably hurt a bunch of people's feelings. I always, Nelly Furtado was very special to me. She was really the first artist that I worked with. I helped her get her record deal, worked with her manager. We had lots of success with her, won Grammy Awards, and there were a lot of sort of firsts with her, so she has a special place in my heart. But I love all my clients and all of them that I've worked with.
So how did you get started with just in the music industry?
I started playing in bands in high school. Kept playing through university, and then I went to law school. I wanted to be the Prime Minister of Canada, and then I figured out I had to learn French, so I gave up on that idea. But in the meantime, I was always playing in bands, and even through law school, I was playing in a band that sort of gained some traction. So when I finished law school in '90, instead of going to work at a law firm, I played in a band. I started playing in a band full time. So from '90 to '95, I lived in a van with 9 other guys, and we drove all over North America trying to make it. We had a record deal. We made a bunch of bad records and bad videos. It was a really good live band, and through that period of time, met a lot of people in the music business. So we had managers, we had agents, we had lawyers, we had record deals, publishers, agents, all kinds of different players in the industry. You sort of come into contact with them when you're in a band, to the point where by the time the band was winding down, I had a law degree. I'd learned a lot about the music business, so I was able to kind of transition into practicing law in '97 in the music area. So started doing that then. So March '97. And that was sort of my entree into the music business.
What is your approach to playing in a band?
My approach is probably different than others. I was always kind of a businessy guy in the band, and you find there's usually 1 or 2 people who are sort of business-minded in the musical group. I think I had a lot more business sense than musical sense. I don't think I was a very good songwriter, but I think I was a better businessman, better sort of lawyer than I was as a musician. But even in a band, I mean, I same way today. It's like I'm kind of all or nothing, very intensely focused, and very, very driven, and very, very competitive.
So what kind of music was your band playing mostly?
It was like it's kind of a reggae, rock, ska group. Horn section and percussionists and 8 people on stage.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, a lot of mouths to feed. When you do the pie and you divide up all the money, it gets divided pretty thinly when you have that many band members. So try to keep it to a 3-piece if you can.
When you were little, like a kid.
Like little, like you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm little. How did you know you're gonna start a record label and stuff?
No. When I was young, I mean, I wanted to be a lawyer. I knew I always wanted to be a lawyer. That was, for some reason, I wanted to be the Prime Minister. That's what it all kind of goes back to. So really didn't focus in on the fact that music could become a career until we started playing probably later in high school, started putting on shows, and people started showing up, and but knew enough that the music business is pretty hard. As a recording artist, not a lot of people make it to the point where they have successful lives. Where they're making enough money to live comfortably. It's a tough life, and the ratio is really. It's kind of like professional sports, right? Like you can grow up playing hockey and really love it, but not very many people make it all the way to being able to do it as a living. So I always kept school in my back pocket. I was always a pretty good student and focused on school quite a bit because I knew if music didn't work out, then I would do something with an education, hopefully. Did that answer the question? I kind of forget what the question was.
It was, when you were little, did you know you were gonna work at Last Gang?
Yeah. No, and even when I started, when I had the law degree, when I was practicing, I didn't have a plan to start a record label either. That was really something where, as an attorney, I sort of gained a reputation for helping people find record deals. So Nelly Furtado and Sum 41 and Sam Roberts and 3 Days Grace, and I kept going down to New York and LA and helping people get record deals, but I couldn't get a record deal for Metric. I was shopping them as well. I'd be like, hey, you like this band? You want to sign them? And worked for them in that capacity sort of for like 6 years, to the point where I went to my wife and I said, look, I'm gonna spend some money. I'm gonna start a record label. I'm gonna help this band put out the records, because otherwise I don't think they would have ever put out any records. I couldn't find anybody to invest in the group. So that's how the record label sort of started, out of necessity for them. And then that went okay. And then I signed a group called Death from Above, 1979. And that went okay. And then I signed a group called Crystal Castles. Then all of a sudden something that was supposed to be like a hobby, became a whole other business, in addition to my law firm. So there's really two sides of my life. There's law firm representing recording artists, and then Last Gang, which was select artists that you'd sign to the label, and they'd all have to get their own lawyers, because I couldn't do both, right?
Mm-hmm. So how did you go about actually starting the label up? It's like I said, I put aside $35,000, so I was going to spend $35,000 to help make a record, hire a publicist, hire some radio people, and help Metric put out their first record. And as I was getting ready to do that, I played some music for a friend of mine. His name's Donald Tarleton. And he liked the record as well. We were friends. He had his own record label and infrastructure and support and access to government funding. So he volunteered to partner with me on Last Gang to start putting out records together. And we did that. So we had a 50-50 partnership on a handshake, and put out the first Metric record in May 2004. What's involved with putting out the record, though? As in, what would you have to do?
Lots of stuff. Yeah. So it starts from signing the artist. You have to have a discussion with the band about record deal terms and get an agreement done. And then from there you have to start with songs, and you go through a whole bunch of songs and try to pick the best ones out, and then pick out a producer and a recording studio and set a schedule and make a record. Then you have to make the artwork, you have to do the photos, the bio, the press materials, the videos, hire a publicist that will go to newspapers and television producers and TV shows and help get the music out into the world. And if you're fortunate, you have a team kind of around you as well, like we do here, of people who can help with promoting to radio and promoting to press and marketing online and getting your music on streaming services. So that's that's it in sort of a short nutshell, but it's a lot of work.
You won like 8 awards, right, or something like that.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. What do you think
I
when
did?
you say to yourself?
What were the awards for?
I don't know. I just read on Wikipedia. Though.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So, what do you think to yourself when you say that? Like.
When I win awards?
Yeah. Well, think about how many awards you've won and stuff like that. Yeah.
I don't know. I guess you can tell I don't think about it very much.
Yeah.
I think, we have Juno Awards that some of the artists I work with win, and sometimes they buy one for you and they send it to you, and you can put it up in the office, and they're nice to have sitting around. If they sell lots of records, sometimes they'll send you plaques as well that you can put up on your walls. I think it's a nice gesture, and it's a reminder of all the hard work that you've put in. I think they're helpful from a marketing standpoint for artists that you're courting or you're talking to. They can kind of see, it's like, okay, this person has accomplished some stuff. I didn't write all the songs on Avril Lavigne's record or Drake's record, but I was involved somehow, some way to help them get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
So they're nice to have, and I think they help from a marketing standpoint. Sometimes they're nice pieces of art too.
So were there any important people that helped you start out with, I suppose, with the record label, like important people that helped you along the way?
Yeah, there's a number. So my partner, Donald Tarleton, he's a pretty big, famous concert impresario. So he's a concert promoter, primarily based in Montreal. We were 50-50 partners. He was a big part of it starting out. Our distribution was with Universal here in Canada, and the man that ran Universal, Randy Lennox, was a big supporter of what we were trying to do with the record label. Probably those two to start were really important in getting things off the ground.
Yeah.
How happy are you that you chose to start a record label?
I'm really happy. Around that time, I mean, this was like 2003, 2004. You're probably too young to even remember that long ago, I would imagine. When were you born?
2007.
Yeah, so you weren't around.
Yeah.
But, we used to buy these things called CDs, and everybody made a lot of money selling CDs through the 90s. And up until about 2002, before Napster came along. So Napster was a website, a platform where you could go to and basically just get music for free. There's all the digital files up there, and the music business went through an incredible storm at that point, where now, up until 2000, 2001, you had to buy a CD, you had to buy all the songs, you had to pay $20 for it, and that was the only way you could get a song that you liked. With Napster, all of a sudden, all the songs in the world were up there, and you could go up and get them for free. And I started a record label at exactly that point in time, and people said, you're crazy. Why are you doing that? Like, the record business is going like this, and you're starting a business in that area. And for me, it was really fueled out of my love for that band, Metric, that I keep talking about. I loved their music. I loved them as people. They were good friends of mine. I thought if we put the right time and effort behind what they were doing, we could make some money. But I really just wanted to kind of help them get their career going and introduce their music to the world, because I'd done that or helped to do that successfully with Nelly Furtado and Sum 41 and all those bands that I mentioned. But Metric wasn't going to get out into the world if somebody didn't stand up and put their money behind them and help them out. And in retrospect, I mean, I'm really happy that I did that, because it's all worked out. That band is still around. They're still playing all over the place. I think they've put out 6 records. we're all still friends. We made a bunch of money. We had a lot of fun. I feel really fortunate.
So, what's your opinion on then streaming services like Spotify or Google Play Music?
I love those. That's our music business since Napster has kind of gone like this, and this year, for the first time, the music business is going like that, up 2.5%. So, and that's largely due to streaming. Nobody's buying physical music anymore, or that's fallen off the planet. Even digital downloads are kind of not as popular anymore. Streaming music is going like this, for every record company, and for the first time in 15 years, income from recorded music is actually on the uptick. We have 36 million paid subscribers at Spotify. We have about 15 million paid subscribers at Apple. So that's 50 million people paying $10 a month every month. So income that wasn't there 4 years ago is now coming into the market, and I think it's great. I'd like them to pay more. I think most artists and record companies would, but it's not zero anymore. Napster was a zero proposition. That was not very good for somebody who invested in recordings and wanted to make money from them. At least on in the streaming music universe, I think I'm very bullish about it. I'm very excited about it, and I think Wall Street and investors and other people too are excited about it.
Okay, that's all my questions.
Oh, okay. Well, so moving on from the record label, so sorry, I'm stuttering a lot.
That's all right.
So, what kind of cases and disputes or things would you work on as a music lawyer?
There, in law, there's different kinds of lawyers. So there's transactional lawyers, there's litigation lawyers. Transactional lawyer, and that's what I was for 20 years. You look at contracts, you're reading contracts, you're negotiating contracts, you're drafting contracts, you're interpreting contracts. Litigation lawyer is like, well, what happens when people have a disagreement about that contract? They wouldn't come to someone like me. We would usually call what's called a litigation lawyer, and litigation lawyers get into going to court, getting in front of a judge, arguing disputes. So, fortunately, that's not a big part of my life.
Yeah. So would you be like, for example, reading a contract just to make sure that everything seems fair for whoever you're representing? Would that be kind of what you would be doing?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah. So if early in my law career, I did a lot of helping people find the record deal to start with. So if you don't have a record deal, then there's not much for the lawyer to do. So it's like, okay, I'm going to have to help the artist find the record deals so I can negotiate them and make some money. So what happens at that point, you play it for the record company, they like the band, they're like, we want to sign them, here's a contract, and then you take the contract, you review it, you go through all the points, and if they're offering $1,000, you might ask for $1,500, or if the royalty is 12%, you might ask for 14%, and you have to go through all of it with a fine-tooth comb, and you send back what's called a markup. Say, look, thank you for the offer, but this is what I want. And you go back and forth until it gets to an execution stage, if it gets there, and then everybody signs off on it. And then meanwhile, a lot of the time there's an initial meeting with the client too, where you'll sit down and say, okay, here's the offer, here's what it says, here's what it means, and walk the client through it. So you're interpreting and marking up and negotiating contracts. That's the primary function as a music attorney.
What do you like best about your job? I guess this current job that you have.
I like, I still, it's great to work with
people like Drake and people that sell lots of records and are really famous and everything, but I like breaking artists, starting with an artist who's at 0 and watching them go to like 60 or to 100. That's pretty exciting. We work directly with a group called the Arkells, who I've worked with through their whole career, and watching them at this point where they just sold out 2 shows at Massey Hall. Their album just came out. It's #1. Like there's big things kind of happening for them. That's still a lot of fun. And I would love them to be as big as Arcade Fire or the Eagles at some point. But even that ride and that trip is still a real buzz for me.
Are most of the musicians you work with nice?
I would say half of them are, and half of them you probably wouldn't characterize as nice. It's you think about it. I mean, a lot of musicians spend a lot of time alone in their bedroom practicing their instrument. They put their whole life into playing music, and they can't see themselves ever doing anything else. It's a very self-centered, can be somewhat narcissistic. I mean, you're standing up on stage saying, "Look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me," right? There's something kind of screwy about that. And I was a musician, so I think I can say it. And some people come to you better adjusted than others. Some people are musicians because it's a way for them to exercise their demons and work things out, and others come to you without baggage. But I would say it's a little different than the real world, where you have to behave yourself. Musicians are almost rewarded for being strange sometimes, so it kind of comes with the territory.
So are you still involved with the record label?
Yeah, I sold the record label in March. So Last Gang had been going for about 12 years, and then eOne approached me in the fall last year about selling the company to them and then coming in and running the global music division. So Last Gang still exists as a label, as an imprint, but I run the larger company now and the larger division, eOne Music, globally.
So how do you discover new artists?
It's usually through contacts. Other artists send me stuff, managers. Those are probably the 2 primary sources.
Yeah.
I've got a manager coming in to see me later on this afternoon who I've known for 20 years, who has a band that he's really excited about that's bringing it to me. It's usually that way, and these days it's an email, right? It's like, "Hey Chris, I like this band, check out their SoundCloud," and you go on and have a listen and see if it's something that interests you.
Yeah. So what would you recommend for young artists to do if they wanted something like that?
I think be up and available online and build your audience there. Now that's almost 100% of the way things get signed and develop and come out into the world. Even somebody like Shawn Mendes was doing a lot of stuff on Vine, before he was signed to a record label. Justin Bieber was online. The Weeknd was online. All of these things kind of start online a little bit now and gain some traction. The second you have a video on YouTube or something on SoundCloud or something that kind of goes like this, the phone starts ringing. Or you start getting emails, and I know that because even on the law practice side, you get calls from artists who are in north of Lethbridge, Alberta, in the middle of nowhere, and they put up a song in their bedroom, and record companies will track them down if the audience kind of starts to gather and the numbers and the data start to get it at impressive levels.
What kind of music are you currently listening to?
I listen to everything.
You know, at eOne we do a lot of rap music. We do Last Gang, so I listen to everything that's on Last Gang, so electronic, alternative, gospel, heavy metal, hard rock. I listen to a lot of reggae. I'm a reggae fan. We don't do a lot of that at eOne or at Last Gang, but that's, you know, I was kind of in that kind of a band, and it's always been a love of mine. So pretty much everything.
Are there any musicians in particular that you enjoy listening to?
I really do. You know, I really like. I think the new Billy Talent album is great. I think the new Sam Roberts album that I've heard is fantastic. The new R. Kells record, obviously. Anything Lights records, I'm excited about. Death from Above. You know, the Last Gang stuff is, you know, those are all records, all artists that I admire on a lot of levels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just one more question. Out of all of the jobs that you've had, which one was your favorite to work at?
This one. You
Yeah.
know, this one is, you know, this is a great company. It's amazing that it's Canadian and it's here and it's right in the middle of Toronto, but it's, you know, one of the largest independent entertainment companies in the world. It's the only independent company that I can think of that has a real television platform, a real film platform, and a real music platform. And there's an opportunity for all of it to kind of work together to benefit recording artists. It's global in nature. We have 18 offices around the world. We have 1,500 staff all over the world. It's a really great opportunity in terms of the budgets and the resources and everything that we have here. So I've only been here for 5 months, but this is really great. I'm really happy I'm here.
Well, thank you for the interview.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for coming.